Hey. Hopefully you're gonna edit all this part out. But this is Lexi, obviously, and I am answering these questions on behalf of Nicholas, but well, I'm not answering the questions. He answered the questions, but I'm retelling his stories. And for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be referring to him as Magnus because that's how Brendon and I met him as. That was his name. But Nick, these are Nick's answers to questions about Brendon. And I feel very honored to answer these questions because a lot of our stories overlap, and yeah, it's beautiful. So question number 1. Smell. What did Brendon smell like? And Mag says, I definitely smell cats. Dank. Like a feral cat. And he is smelling a shirt that was Brendon's, that he's washed multiple times, but still smells like him. It's a musty, earthy, tangy smell, a fermented smell, wet and dry and dusty smell. It's a good intimate smell, like somebody's flesh, like sitting next to someone in the back of the car when your bathing suits are all still wet. He smells like fresh berries, green leaves, wet wood, under the bridge at 1 mile, all that wood that's always been wet. Hot, wet concrete in the summer at 1 mile, and the smell of fresh pesto. Dusty cushions, campfire hair. Music. He sang it, but now I forget how it goes. But the kicks, the kids or the kicks, electric feel, basically any dancey, like sexy music is what Brendon listened to, like hot dance songs, says Mag. And Mag tells a story about Joey and Magnus dancing to a song, and then they started to take their clothes off, and then Brent came in and turned off the music and said, that's enough, guys. So yeah, what clothing did Brendon wear? He always wore Choco flip-flops, says Mag, some Patagucci baggies, and Brendon often didn't wear clothes. He was naked a lot. Naked 1 mile bike rides. And Mag says he always wanted to steal his Chacos because they were so well worn. And he had this little hair on the back of his shoulder that he always had his shirt off, but he always had this little patch of back hair. So it was kind of like a shirt. And Magnus talks about how he has a pair of Brendon's Wrangler pants that he loves, and the Miami shirt that I also really love that he got in Costa Rica. But whenever he puts Brendon's clothes on, he feels very close to him. So he really has these. Oh, he also has a jacket. But yeah, that's one way he feels super connected to Brendon. Number 4, something he said often or something that reminds you of him. Well, there's a story that Mag tells about his van, and he had this big van that he lived in that Brendon helped him get. And he was leaving Brendon's house one day, and we don't remember exactly what he was upset about, but Mag remembers being grumpy about something. And then Brendon and Lexi, me, hid in the back. Brendon knew that Magnus was mad, so we hid in the back of his van, and Magnus was gonna go off and camp somewhere, he left in a huff, and Brendon pops out. We're halfway down the street, and he screams, "You can leave your friends, but your friends will never leave you." And Mag was, I think he laughed, but he also was like, "Get the F out of my van." So he was still upset, but he wishes he wasn't so mad. He wishes he took us all on an adventure. But that's something that sticks out to Mag about Brendon, is like he wouldn't take no for an answer, and especially when it really mattered. Like he pushed people. And Mag remembers when he was like dating someone else's girlfriend, and like he would, talk to Mag and say, "Get real, man, get real, come on, get real." And it was like radical truth telling, according to Mag. Like he really saw things for what they were, and really pushed you to question the things that you were doing. Another thing he said, and I feel like I can say this now that we're 38 years old, but you can cut this out. It was Magnus, me, Tamara, and Bryn in Santa Cruz, and Magnus had just hitchhiked from Chico to Santa Cruz to where we were hanging out, and we went up to the Garden of Eden in Felton, and we all did mushrooms. And my cousin Tamara found 2 4-leaf clovers, and this is a really potent memory because Brendon said, like, I think he was feeling very connected to everything and everybody, and Mag says that this is sort of the way he lived his life, with this connectedness to everything, including animals and plants. But he said, "Lucky you, lucky me, lucky us." And he was like so happy. It was Tamara that found the 4-leaf clovers, but it was like we all found those 4-leaf clovers. They were there for us. He knew that we were all interrelated and interconnected. And Mag says that he felt so lucky to be loved by him, and it was like the sun shining when he showed his love, when he gave you his attention and he showed his love on you. It was the best feeling. So this also, Mag tells a story about when we all first met. He was friends with Omar first, but he was sort of dating around casually, and he met all of us, and one day they were out on the porch of my house on 3rd Street, and it was Omar and Mag on the porch, and Joey and Brendon pull up on their bike, and he says, "What are you guys thinking about going on an adventure?" And that's sort of like where the love story began for Mag, even though he was like unsure about Bryn for whatever reasons. But that was like the breakthrough sort of moment when like Brendon just like, I don't know, like showed his love for adventure and just like wanted to hang out. And yeah, he really feels Brendon in his heart, and it was like one of his best friends. And Mag remembers something that Jono said right after the funeral, that we got him. And it's like, not only that we understood him, but we got that time with him. Like, how lucky are we? And Mag really feels so incredibly lucky to have had him for that time. His golden years, we got his attention and his time and his golden years. And he got a piece of Brendon's soul and heart, and he's able to live it out. Seeing how Brendon lived really showed us that this is how to do it, how to live life. Make art, jump off bridges into water, and say and do the weird things, be goofy. He could really look at somebody in the eye and communicate. And he had a way of speaking without speaking. And he was all about fun. So he remembers this time when they would like rearrange their neighbor's welcome mat and lawn furniture just for fun. And he says it was the funniest thing he'd ever done. Bren was really all about the mischief and being tricky. There's a game. You may or may not want to put this in the video, but I think it was him and Joey. They made up a game called Naked Under the Sheets. And this is something that Mag says that if he could go back in time and go to one moment, this might be the moment. Naked Under the Sheets, I don't know if I want to explain too much more about it, but it was a game. They loved to be naked. I don't know. Another thing he did when me and Mag and Bren went to Harbin Hot Springs. This shows Brendon's character, this like mischief, but also lovingness. We're leaving. It's late at night. We're on this like windy dirt road, and Brendon, the car starts to shake and stop, and he said, "Oh no, the car won't start." He gets out of the car and takes a pee and then gets a blanket out of the back of the car and brings me a blanket, and then starts the car and keeps going. And that was him. He's just like trying to get a rise out of people, but also like thinking about others and being kind. But yeah, mischief. He was really sweet and cheeky, said Mag. Weather. He sees him in big rolling thunderstorms. Brendon helped Mag pick up his van, the van that he lived in. But they went and got Grandpa George's truck and drove it to Eureka. And Mag just remembers like watching Brendon just put this van on this flatbed truck and just like using his hands and doing it without, even struggling. And that day a big thunderstorm rolled in, and his cat, Mr. Champion, broke his femur bone. He remembers that day very specifically, and the thunderstorm that rolled in. Oh, and then he talks a little bit more about Naked Under the Sheets. I guess the best game ever. Okay, I'll explain it. Everyone is under a sheet, clothed. A deck of cards get passed out. There's an ace and there's a king. If you get the ace, you have to get naked under your sheet, and if you get the king, you have to find the person that's naked. So the person with the king leaves the room, and then the person with the ace has to get naked, but pretend they're not naked. That king person doesn't know who's naked or not, and they come back in, And they go, who's naked under the sheets? And you have to pretend you're not naked, and then the king guesses by pulling a sheet off somebody, and I don't know how many guesses they get, but and then the person that gets caught has to run across the street naked and back. So yeah, that game was fun. Mag really learned that, like, we all have these human bodies and we should all just love them, and they're just bodies. And that, like, life is for fun, it's for living, it's for biking, it's for skateboarding, it's for swimming, it's for playing tricks on people, being goofy, squeezing all you can out of life. Mag also says that he wishes he could replay the last time he saw him, and that he was super sentimental. He was a beachcomber collector, and this is something that Mag also thinks of as himself. And Brendon gave him a piece of jade, probably from Jade Beach. And the last time he saw him, he was an hour late to pick him up, but he showed up with this kitten that he pulled out of the bramble. And Mag says, he drove me nuts with his pushiness and aloofness. But that day when he showed up with the kitten, he has these handfuls of selfies that they took with the cat. And you can really see the sparkle in his heart, and that sparkles in my heart. And that, you know, he has a piece of the Bren spirit. And yeah, even though he was pushy and pushed people to do things and pushed people beyond their comfort level, it was like out of such love and experience, to just experience life in a way that was beautiful. And like Mag really talks about how he loved including people, and he loved playing and creating games and making mischief and just loving life. And he's so lucky that Brendon had shown his light on Mag. One more story. Stranger toss. Mag still to this day will toss a frisbee to a stranger and yell, stranger toss. And this is something that Bren did. Okay, bye.
Okay, this is Uncle Mag describing Bren from Lexi. And I'm nervous to do this because Lexi arguably got Bren the best. So it's funny to describe Lexi's experience with Bren from how she just described him now. She feels that Bren's smell, she smells him everywhere in lots of ways. Like when the rain has just come in on dry land, it's called pedicore. When the first rain on dry ground, that he also smells like a wet bathing suit after the ocean swim, and also wet, hot flesh after swimming in the river and drying off. And hair, she smells his hair from like a campfire, like 2-day-old campfire hair. But she said that she remembers him most by his smells. And she described it as like a subtle but intense slap to the face. It's hard because I have smells of him, but these are Lexi's smells. She remembers him with the song Sister Nancy. I wonder if I could pause. Am I recording? Oh, good, I am recording. Sister Nancy. I don't exactly remember the song, but I do. It's like, ba-da-ba-dum-bum, Sister Nancy. But she really relates reggae music with Brandon. I can see him holding a $2 bottle of Red Stripe and dancing on Thursday night. Every Thursday night we would dance to reggae music. What type of clothing did he like to wear? He liked to wear Choco flip-flops and this t-shirt. He got this shirt, this like Miami Dolphins shirt, or not a Dolphins, I don't even know what it is. Some kind of Miami university shirt at a thrift store in Costa Rica. And Lexi was so mad that I got given this shirt after Bren died. So, yeah. How you like me now? And it still smells like him. It smells a lot like him. It's yeah, it smells like tangy, musty Bren, like Bren flesh, you know, just like he didn't have a BO, but he smelled like skin. And yeah, raw, earthy skin. A man of the earth. How's that parable go? Anyways, I'm getting distracted. Yeah, and he also wore this shirt. Lexi said he also wore this shirt in Costa Rica that his mom used as a rag. Some Quicksilver shirt that she would clean with and like scrub the table and the floors with, and he found it and just started wearing it. So that's what she remembers him wearing. And what was something he said often or memorable about him? That he was pushy, that he would push Lexi beyond her comfort zone and, make her jump off of things and challenge her. He would challenge you into adventure. And she remembers hating him for that, but also feeling so proud and cool afterwards, having like accomplished it, and like being so angry and scared with him for pushing her to do something she didn't want to do, but he could tell that she did want to do. He loved collecting things. When they went to Disneyland, he was so sentimental that he kept a bread roll from the Pirates of the Caribbean restaurant that they went to, and he still has it somewhere, like in the truck, or like it lived on the dashboard of his truck. It's like this little this like artifact from Disneyland that he kept. And yeah, he did. And he was like, you would just go with it because he was so charming. Like he was so, Alexandra gets annoyed with my sentimental collecting as well and keeping of things. But like Bren, just like there's a charm about it. And like, yeah, we should keep this stick, this dirt, as Lexi described it. This is special dirt, and I'm keeping it at the floorboard of my truck now. He said that he did nothing by half. There was no half-assed anything that Bren did, and I agree with that. He was green. Bren was the color of green. He was good with plants. She said that he could just grow things, and just by touching it, it would grow. He just had that green thumb, and the value he lived by fun is what Lex says. Lex said that Bren lived by fun, squeezing the most out of life, and that he had the ability. She said that she felt. Lex said that she had never experienced fun until she was with Bren. Didn't realize that until she was having fun with Bren. Like, oh, this is what life is. This is what it's supposed to be. This is it. This is the fun. And she talked about, falling in love and the novelty of being in love for the first time, and how exciting that was, and what a rush it was, so much so that she failed her math class the spring that they met and fell in love. Like she just failed math because she was dating Bren and was excited about it, and it was beautiful in Chico, and everything was turning green, and looking back, she doesn't regret that for a second. And she said that Bren was like really sweet about her failing math math, and like, it's okay, it doesn't really matter. And she feels that was so true. Like, it was so worth it to have failed math for Bren. Yeah, because they met. Best thing I ever did was fail math and date Bren. How good is that? But yeah, he also just loved being with people, stopping to help people. That was one of his big values, is that he could talk to anyone and was willing to help anyone do anything. They were on he was driving her truck home somewhere, her Jeep, and there was like a dark dirt road, and he saw someone pulled over, and he like went, and she's like, no, we can't stop for these people. And he just insisted, and they really actually needed the help. So he like pulled them, like tied something to her car and towed them out of this ditch. They really needed the help, and it was cold and snowy. So who knows if he saved their life that night. But that was his whole thing, is he was just game to help anyone. I think that's something that Lex repeated over and over again, was that, like, let's get the most fun out of life as we can, and be good at the same time. Like, let's enjoy this one life as much as we possibly can. Like, let's squeeze all the life out of life and not be a complete jerk about it. She said the word asshole, but the idea of, like, we can be assholes actually, but let's not like be bad people. She wishes. She also said that Bren was an atmospheric river as far as a weather, like what weather would Bren be? She has a book of his, which is like a weather textbook. Somehow she ended up with it, and she would call Bren like a rain event, ball lightning or an atmospheric river. And I tend to agree. And if she could replay a time, it would be the small moments. Cooking. They would make these epic hot dog dinners with all kinds of weird stuff in them. I guess they would just stuff stuff. They would stuff hot dogs with cheese and pesto and avocado and cream cheese. They would and make these like massive bagel sandwiches for dinner. So she would go back to those like little small moments, and some of the big moments too. When Lexi tore her ACL, Brendon would take her to class on a skateboard. He would put her on the front of his longboard skateboard. I'm sure the doctor would have, protested, but he would also make the most out of being good. Like, while he would be riding her to class on his skateboard and like driving past this really fancy restaurant, he would hump Lexi from behind and just like get people to look like, what is going on there? He loved getting a rise out of people. He loved getting a reaction. He loved, calling it out. Let's see. Longboard humping. It felt like she'd never experienced loved before she met Bren. And there is that novelty about the first love, but that's the way it is, and that's what she got to experience. Her first love got to be with Brendon. I mean, she was like rereading letters of him recently, and letters that she'd written to him, and it's not like they were like, it didn't sound like they were overly romantic, but he would like apologize for being mean. We were young adults, 22, 21, 20 years old, just like apologizing for being mean to each other. But reality, it's just being loving. And he was like attached to her in a difficult way, because he just loved so much. And that was definitely something we agreed with, is that feeling his love felt so good. It opened us up to more love than we'd ever experienced, and realized like, wow, there's like so much love to take in. And it's just so lucky. she said I hit the jackpot with Bren, and she did. Yeah, she really did hit the jackpot with Bren. I think he set the bar really high. She didn't say that, but I did. And gorgeous Chico little moments to relive. I think, where do you feel closest to him now? She feels the closest to him now with us, with me and Joey and Laura and Jono, Omar, the gang, our little crew. Because we get to talk about him and relive things. And, we got to share, even just doing this project, we got to share some of the same stories, but we were in different parts of it, like who's naked under the sheets. I was on the other side of Brendo watching Lexi try to switch cards with Bren and him refusing, Lexi. So we're playing who's naked under the sheets. And the game was Brendan's idea that everyone gets a sheet. We turn off the lights, turn on the music, and everyone gets a card. And whoever gets the ace has to get naked under the sheets. And whoever gets the king is the investigator and walks around, who's naked under the sheets? And everyone's holding the sheets up to their chins and down to their feet, trying to pretend like they're not the one who's naked under the sheets, or they are the one who's naked under the sheets. And the investigator pulls someone's sheets up. And if they're naked, then they win. But if they're not naked, then the investigator has to get naked. And he had to run across the street in front of traffic naked, and obviously. But Lexi kept getting the ace. I think she got it like 2 or 3 times in a row. And Lexi was probably the prudest one of all of us. But she was game and got naked under the sheets. But she kept trying to trade with Brent. Trade with me. And he's, no, you have to get naked. So getting to share those stories and relive them from different parts of the van, she talked about how lucky she was. We were both, on spring break, we spent my last spring break together in Santa Cruz, where Bren screamed, "Lucky you, lucky me, lucky us," when her cousin got 2 4-leaf clovers. Yeah. So getting to spend time together brings it all back. This project brings a lot of it up. And just how she feels him. She says that she wishes she felt Bren more in her everyday life. She feels sad, but she also sees him everywhere. Hi, chicken. Come on up. There's already a cat in my lap, but you can try to find a spot. Meow. So yeah, Lex wishes she felt him more in her everyday life, but thinks about him all the time. She's told me that she still writes a song and then realizes that it's about Bren. And I find that so beautiful, that she's writing the song, singing to him, like that love can, transcend more than a decade now. And that she says that he was like a saint of a human, even though he was sometimes really mean, because he was so pushy, and he would just want to get her out. So they were at a party, like at a big frat party, and there was all of a sudden someone, like a girl who was like passed out drunk, and Lexi says, we have to help this girl. We have to help her. So they brought her home and put her on a couch and tried to give her water, but she was just totally passed out. But they were just trying to keep her safe and wrote her a note. But then at one point, Bren's sitting on her on the couch. Lexi says, "Get off of her." Which is just so funny, because he would help people, but also be cheeky along the way. And I have my own stories, which this isn't about. But yeah, it's what can you get the most out of life without being an asshole? Or be assholes, but, and be fucking around for fun, but, but also be good. She was sharing another story that I was at where we all went, water ballooning drunk people on the streets. We like rode our bikes around and were throwing water balloons at people. And Lexi like got caught, like a guy came out and caught her and like grabbed her bike. And once he let her go, Bren had turned around and just hit him right in the chest. Explosive water balloon just exploded all over him. It was like a perfect kill shot. And that was him. So special. I think that's all my notes. So cheeky. Yeah, the water balloon. I haven't been having fun until now. That was something she got from Bren, that she just hadn't been having fun until now, until him. What are the... what are the rules? But like just suggestions, like let's just get the most we can out of life while still being good and being in the moment. Like the way that Bren could look at you was just, could say it all without saying anything, but then he would say it. Yeah, take full advantage of life. You have one life, take full advantage of it. Ka-choo! Love you, Bren. Love you, everybody. Georgia Mae. I think we've been recording this whole time, thank goodness.
All right. Sarah associates the smell of rain with Brendon. One night, a group of us were hanging out in a groovy little cabin/house with all the lights off, with just the wood-burning stove, and music was playing. And she doesn't remember what song it was, but she knew it was a cool, good old song that only real music appreciators would know. He wore his puffy jacket with duct tape on it and silver rings, looking effortlessly, timelessly stylish, handsome, and approachable. His smile was unforgettable, and he smiled a lot while we were playing in a river or when he was hosting his friends. She associates the color navy blue with him, particularly because of his puffy jacket, partially because of the calmness he could make people feel. He valued joy and togetherness. If he was a type of weather, he'd be a warm spring day with a slight breeze, so it's easy and comfortable to play outside all day. He was easy to be in a car with, and a good team to work with, and a fun friend to longboard and drink beer with. And he felt his emotions deeply, the good and the sad. Sarah feels closest to him now when his friends and family talk about him and when she's hanging with Jono.
Hi everybody, my name is Janina, and I am doing equine therapy. Or equine therapy. Anyways, therapy with horses. But I'm going to talk about Bren, and my experience with Bren is a person who knew how to be in the present moment and was full of adventures and just taught you how to enjoy life and just love people and enjoy life. Made everything fun. The Armstrong family is very fun.